The Omnic crisis was a catastrophic war that brought entire nations to their knees. But what caused the Omnics to take up arms against the humans? Could the mysterious God programs have orchestrated the rebellion? And how did Overwatch bring an end to the war when the most powerful nations on the planet couldn't? And in the present day, are we entering a second Omnic crisis? The story of the Omnic crisis starts with the Omnica Corporation. They offered to revolutionize industry and bring about an economic golden age through the use of their latest breakthrough, Omnics. Across the world, they built Omniums, fully automated factories that would use self-improving software algorithms to manufacture the Omnics. For many years, things went well, and the Omnics became part of everyday life. However, eventually, evidence of fraud was uncovered within Omnica, and it was forcibly dissolved, and Omniums shut down. Life went on as normal, until the day Omniums woke back up and immediately launched a military campaign against all of humanity. Bastion units made up the bulk of their force, but they also converted giant mechs called Titans into war machines. These behemoths were once designed to build skyscrapers. Instead, they would now tear them to the ground. Of course, the nations of the world jumped into action, but were unprepared for the forces which would oppose them, and the few victories of mankind, such as that of Germany, came at a great cost. The Omnics themselves made no demands. They had no ideological reason for their aggression. They simply attacked, and humanity had no idea why. The UN saw that no single nation could stand against the might of the Omnics, so they devised a change of strategy. A small and nimble team was formed that would later be known as Overwatch. They targeted the Omnic's commands and control protocols, and after many dangerous raids, they destroyed it all, rendering the Omnic armies inert and bringing an end to the crisis. It's been over 2 decades since the Omnic crisis ended, but there are rumblings of a second war breaking out. The Omnium in Russia has restarted, forcing their government to prepare their defenses once more. In South Korea, a giant Omnic has been attacking their coast for over a decade, and with the recent assassination of the Omnic monk Mondata, things can only get worse. That's the story of the Omnic crisis and things we know to be fact, but it still leaves many questions unanswered. Most obviously, why did Omnics attack in the first place? A clue is left in the way Overwatch defeated the Omnics. They targeted their commands and control protocols. This means there were leaders of some kind. Commands were being given, and perhaps the Omnics were unable to disobey. As much as they are independent AI, it would certainly make sense that they could be controlled or even hacked. There's one instance we know of in the game's recent lore that shows Omnics losing control, and it's found in the Pharah comic. The comic covers the story of Pharah and a team stopping a god program from escaping his confines. The program, known as Anubis, takes control of multiple Omnics throughout the story. A member of Pharah's team even kills himself to avoid Anubis's power. So, could these god programs have been behind the Omnic crisis? Could the self-improving systems in the Omniums created these all-powerful programs which could then control other Omnics to fight the war for them, kind of like Skynet out of the Terminator series? It's a very compelling idea and would certainly make a lot of sense. If Overwatch targeted these god programs, trapping them like Anubis, they would lose control of their Omnic soldiers, rendering their forces inert and bringing an end to the crisis in the way we know Overwatch did. Anubis made an escape attempt which was foiled, but could another god program be loose? Could the world of Overwatch be entering a second Omnic crisis, beginning with the Siberian Omnium? The story in Russia is an interesting one. They were the only nation to shut down their Omnium without the help of Overwatch. However, the Omnium has now reactivated, forcing the government to mount an offense against the Omnics. So far, over 15,000 lives have been lost, and the international community has yet to intervene. Could a god program be active in Russia, waiting and biding its time for when the moment was right to reactivate its Omnium? Tensions are certainly high across the world, with clashes between humans and Omnics in many nations. If a god program was waiting for a good time to start a war, this certainly would be it. It's It's also interesting that Bastion was recently woken up. Could the activities of a god program been enough to trigger his programming again and wake the robot from his slumber? He certainly seemed to be fighting against his original programming, but perhaps the activation of the Omnium also triggered Bastion. So, what do you think? Were God programs behind the first Omnic crisis? Could one of them have escaped Overwatch and be bringing about a second war? I love reading your theories and ideas, so please let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, this is Dash for Kerr saying thanks for watching and enjoy the game.